Hi, I'm Ray Tanzen, Product Manager here at PreSonus. In this video, we're going to go through the new user profile feature and how to work with it and what can be done with it. So let's start off on the mixer. So here on the touchscreen, if you go to the home menu, you can select User Profiles, and this is going to open up your user profile screen. So here in the top left, you'll see the current user profile is the default administrator. I have a list of user profiles on the right, so my default administrator and my 10 user profiles. And I have my profile settings, and I can also log out. So with the user profiles, you have the default administrator, and this is a fixed user profile. You can't delete it, you can't change its permissions. This is just the default admin that has access to everything on the mixer. Now what you can do on this profile is set a password so you can prevent somebody from accessing all the features of the mixer if you chose to. So while I have default administrator selected, I can go into profile settings, and from here you can see I can change my avatar. I can assign a project and scene to be associated with it. I can also change my password or reset my profile if I just wanted to go back to all the default settings for that profile. When you are logged into an administrator profile, you can also set up all of the additional user profiles. Let's take a look at how that works. So I'm logged in as the default administrator. So I'm going to select a user profile, and I'm going to choose Profile Settings. So from here I can change the name of the user profile. I can change the avatar. I can change the profile type. So right now it's a user profile. I could also change it to an administrator profile. Again, the administrator profile has access to everything. This just allows you to have an additional admin profile, maybe with a different password. I can edit the permissions of user profiles. I can set a level limit for how loud mixes can be turned up on the user profile, assign a default project and scene, and add a password. So with the user profiles, by default, every user profile is going to be locked out of some functions. So again, the admin profile has access to everything. A user profile has a base set of functions that you're going to be locked out of and not be able to access simply because you are a user level profile. Let's take a look at what those are. So I've got my user profile, and I'm going to go ahead and log into that profile. I haven't set up a password, so it didn't ask me for one. It just straight logged in. All right, so now that I'm logged into that user profile, let's take a look. If I go to my home screen, you'll see that the system menu has got a lock on it. I can't access that. And my audio routing has a lock on it. I can't access that. I also can't access my UCNet. You'll see when I push the button, I get a little indicator up here telling me it's locked. These are basic configuration settings where you would set up stuff like your user function buttons, your aux links modes. It's also where you would set up your IP address settings for your network, your digital patching. And so those are all things that are set up for only admin level users to be able to access and change. A standard user level profile is not going to have access to that. So let's go back into the user profiles. I'm going to log back into my default admin so I can show some additional things you can do with your user profiles. So let's log into admin. Again, because I don't have a password set, it didn't ask me for one. So I'm going to select this profile that I was working with, and let's go back into the profile settings. So from here I can edit my permissions. So in my permissions, you'll see I can restrict access to changing channel names, channel types, input EQ and dynamics, output EQ and dynamics, preamp settings, GEQs, assignments for buses, changing of the effects types, saving scenes, and changing or adding DCA filter groups. So these are just additional layers of permissions that you can customize for each user profile, depending on what you want to allow or not allow access to. Another really cool feature was this level limit. So we talked about it very briefly, but let's take a look at how that works. So the level limit sets a global limit for all of the mix master channels. So by default, it's at 10, which is the top of your fader throw, is plus 10 dB. So if I restrict that, I can bring that down. Let's say I put it at unity. So this is a great feature if you might have some volunteers or somebody coming up to work on the mixer that you want to make sure they don't accidentally damage your amplifiers or your speakers, or make sure they have kind of a safety mode that they can't get into a feedback situation as easily. So I've gone ahead and set a level limit now on this profile. So I'm going to log into this profile and let's see how that works. So as I turn up the mixer fader, as I hit that unity level, the audio is going to stop turning up. The DSP has stopped responding to this fader. But because I'm touching the fader, it's allowing me to continue the fader travel. But as soon as I let go, it's going to snap back down to where that level was stopped at. And so because we have the touch sensitive faders, we know when you're touching the fader. So we're not going to fight you when you cross that line because we don't want to damage the fader motors or cause any problems with the fader mechanics. So we'll allow the fader to still travel while it's recognizing the touch sense. But as soon as you let go, it's going to jump back down to where that level limit is set to. All right, now let's go back in and take a look at how we can assign a project and scene. So again, I'm going to go into my profile here. We'll go into our profile settings. So I can select the project. I'll see a list of all my available projects here. I choose one, and then I choose the scene of that project that I would like to associate with it. And now when I go back, you'll see I've got my project that's associated and my scene that is associated with that. While we're here, let's also set up a password. So I'm going to add a password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really difficult password. So now I've set up a password and a scene. So let's see how this works now when I go to log into this profile. So right now I'm in a default administrator. I'm going to log in to my profile. It's going to ask me for my password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to ask me if I would like to load the project and scene that's associated with this profile. So I can say yes, and it's going to load that scene and bring it up. Now that I am logged into a user profile, as a user, there are also some settings that I can adjust and tweak in my own profile. So if I go to my profile settings, I can change my avatar. And I can change my password. I can change the scene that's associated with it. But I can't rename it, and you'll see I can't change the permissions that are associated with it either. Only admin level profiles are able to access and change those settings. As the user, again, I can change my password, and as an administrator, I can also go back in and change the password. So if somebody changes their password and forgets it, the admin can come and log in, go back to that user's profile and reset and change the password. So that is the basics of how user profiles work. And that's how you work with them on the console itself. So now let's go over to UC Surface and take a look at how they work over there. So here in UC Surface, you'll want to go into your settings and you'll see a tab at the top for user profiles. In the user profiles, you have the list of all the profiles on the left, the settings here in the center, and the avatars you can choose when you're choosing a different avatar on the right. You can log out, you can reset, all the same things that you would do from the console are available right here in UC Surface. Another thing that you can do related to the user profiles is you can do a soft power off. And when you go to do a soft power off, you can choose to boot into the user profile screen. And what this will do is force the user who's powering the mixer on next to have to log into a profile before they can operate the mixer. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that and get back to the console. All right, on the console, you also have that soft power off. It's just right here in the home menu. You go to soft power off. You can log out of the user profile, confirm the power off, and that will log you out. It will also do an auto save of all the mixer settings and then safely turn off all audio and power off the mixer, or prepare the mixer for power off from when you can hit the switch. Of course, the PreSonus StudioLive mixers are robust enough that you can hard power all day long and you'll be just fine. This just allows you the extra safety and option to be able to log out of the profile and when you power off, as well as confirm that you're doing that auto save of the current state of the mixer before you power off. So that's overview of how the user profiles work and some of the workflows for them. There's a lot of different possibilities that you can do of how to use them to fit your particular needs. So we encourage you to update your firmware if you haven't already and check out this awesome new feature.